Welcome to the Courageous Entrepreneur Show. This is the show that shares information and inspiration to help you break free from self-doubt, limiting beliefs and disempowering patterns, and break through to create the thriving, successful business you dream of and deserve. I'm your host, Winnie Anderson. The show features interviews with entrepreneurs who've overcome amazing challenges to create success on their terms and experts who share insight and practical information to help you break free from your blocks, move forward with courage, confidence, and clarity. The show is available in both video and audio formats in a variety of platforms, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, in the Google Play Store, on YouTube, and on my website at winnieanderson.com. If you like what you hear, I hope you'll share the show with others, and I hope you'll decide to join my courageous community. You can do that by becoming a fan of the show on my site at winnieanderson.com/fans. When you do, you'll get episodes delivered right to your inbox, along with information, tips, and resources to help you consistently move forward with courage, confidence, and clarity. You'll discover how to position and pre-sell yourself as the unique solution provider you are, and ultimately to profit from your expertise while you build a business in alignment with your faith, beliefs, and values. Whether you're an introvert or not, I'm sure you're always looking for strategies to make your online presence more powerful and make your social platform participation pay off. I'm on all the big platforms, but would love it if I saw more of a payoff on the investment of time and energy that I'm making in my social networking. So my colleague, Tracy, published her book that promised tips and strategies for using LinkedIn's publishing platform. I grabbed it on the pre-sale and I read it as soon as it got released. You can find my 5-star review for the book on Amazon. And I genuinely loved it because it was so practical, and I wanted to make sure that I had her on here to share some insights with you. I first met Tracy in about 2014, I guess it was, when I sat next to her at a big training event, and we've stayed connected ever since. She's a marketing consultant who now specializes in LinkedIn, and particularly in how to leverage your profile and the publishing platform to position yourself as an expert, attract and engage with potential clients and referral partners, and generally build your brand. She speaks on the subject at events, seminars, trade shows, and works with sales and marketing teams to help them gain visibility and attract clients, and works with independent professionals to attract more leads and clients with LinkedIn coaching and done-for-you services. So listen in as she shares who she thinks LinkedIn is for and why she thinks you need to be on it, what LinkedIn is and how it's different from other platforms, what the publishing platform is all about and how long-form publishing differs from short-form publishing on LinkedIn, why your LinkedIn profile is so important and how to leverage that, some mistakes she thinks people make with their profile, how to create long-form posts for mobile users that also benefit users of other devices, and you might be surprised at how many people access the platform on a mobile device. She also shares some tips to help you get engagement and to entice people to join you off of LinkedIn. As always, listen all the way to the end where I'll share your cocktail exercise and action step for this episode. All right, Tracy, I'm so excited that you're able to be with me today.
Hi, Winnie. I'm excited to be back for the second time.
Right. You are one of the few guests that this is actually their second time with me on a podcast. So yeah, I'm super excited to have you here. So let's just go ahead and dive right in because we got lots to cover, and I know you're a busy lady. Let's start right at the get-go, Trace. So let's start with exactly what LinkedIn is and how it's different from Facebook and other social sites. I think a lot of people think of it as just a place for careerists, and they don't think of it for themselves as an entrepreneur.
So, LinkedIn has been around longer than Facebook.
It has, I know.
Do we still need to define this? Do people really still think?
Because people, when I put out a call for, hey, what shall I ask this person? Believe it or not, I get at least a couple that go, it's not that they never heard of it, it's that they don't get it. They don't understand its value and how it differs from Facebook.
Sure. Okay. So LinkedIn was created back in late 2003 as a place for people to put up a resume, look for a job, a great place for hiring recruiters and staffing agencies to find great candidates for positions. And today it's still, that is still a very active part of LinkedIn, but LinkedIn has grown up a lot since late 2003. And it's actually its members, I feel, that have actually created the platform and its use and what we're using it for today. Most importantly, a lot of folks are using this to build their online brand, because people Google things every day now, and because LinkedIn's an authority site with Google, your profiles are going to likely show up in LinkedIn, maybe even your company pages. So it's a great place for companies and small business owners alike to brand, but it's also a great place to generate new revenue for your business. It's getting past the gatekeeper. It's showing the authority that you and your company, have. For me, it's been a staple part of my business for the last 6 years.
Right. Yeah, it's actually one of the first places that I will go to check somebody out. For me, the thing that I prefer it over Facebook about is that when I want to get more information about somebody, I have their whole work history. Where with Facebook, you just have this little snippet of what you do, right, and then links to other places, and then, your posts. But when I really want to look at it, and read it over and think, okay, is this person a good fit for my show? Or I'm going to have a meeting with this person. What are they all about? For me, LinkedIn is that go-to resource for that kind of information.
And it is. And you know what? A lot of people don't recognize that people are going to go do their due diligence and they're going to go check out your profile.
Yeah.
And they're going to go check out your company page. And I see a lot of people that, we just talked about, is that really a question of what LinkedIn is? But I still see so many people using it incorrectly. Even those who have a company page and are trying to build a brand, they're still using their profile as a CV or online resume, and it's clearly not that any longer.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point with the participants, the members of LinkedIn have really morphed it into something else, because the more you contribute, the more you say, I wish it did this. And then as apps are created to fit in with it, you have all of this additional functionality. So, but let's talk about it. Is it really right for everybody to use? Is it right for some people to just slap up a CV and be done with it? Or does everybody need to be on LinkedIn, or can some people get away with something else?
Well, in my opinion, you first need to identify who that prospect is. And then by identifying who that prospect is, you got to find out which platform or which medium their audience is going to be.
Right.
So if they're more of a business to consumer, and I'll come back to that in a second, they might be more appropriate for Facebook. For like a brick and mortar, like a hamburger place or a salon of sorts. But there are, business to customer businesses are rapidly growing in LinkedIn, but it really still is a place to really, for the business to business community.
Right.
It works well for that.
Yeah.
But I've seen some business to customer, business to consumer businesses are really starting to take advantage of LinkedIn and run with it, and they're doing well.
Yeah. The thing that I like about it is that, why not take advantage of every hub site that you possibly can, right? And as you said, it's an authority site. So you might as well get your little set, you have your home on the web, your website, but why not have as many little satellites that help power your overall web presence as possible? So
I agree, but I will say this, I don't think every business should be on every platform.
True, yeah.
You're not going to see a manufacturing company on Instagram. Well, maybe it depends on the kind. It could be like, for fashion or something like that, maybe. But
right. Yeah.
Certain types of businesses, I think, are better suited for certain platforms.
Right. So job one, you believe then, is to identify your target audience and who it is you're trying to reach and where they are.
And where they are. And identify where they are, so. Great. For many people, even in the business to business space, you're going to find you can, grow a business even on Facebook.
Right.
And even Twitter, or Instagram. We're not a fan of Twitter, so
I'm there. But
I have it because it's a necessary evil, but I'm really not a fan of Twitter.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Now, I am a big fan of your book.
Oh, thank you.
And a big fan that finished it in several nights. And it's one of the few books that as soon as I was finished, left a review for it, share it with everybody. It really is an outstanding book. One of the
Only took me 3.5 years to do it.
Yes, I know. But, that's one of the other things that I liked about it. I met you before you started it. Yeah. And what I liked about the book is that it obviously, the time you took, the conscientiousness of the effort it took is throughout that book. It's very clear that you put a lot of genuine effort into it. It's not something that you wrote in a weekend.
Oh, I wrote it and rewrote it and then
rewrote it. Right. And I know you worked with an editor too. So, and we'll give him a shout out in the show notes. We'll include a link.
Michael's great.
So, but one of the things that you start off with is the fact that your profile is so important. So let's start with that.
Sure.
Can you explain why that profile is so important? And you don't want to just put some little blurby thing in there, right? You get a lot of characters, so you want to use it up, right?
Right. Well, the profile is a fantastic place for you to really showcase who you are because, again, it's a personal profile. It's not your company page. You got to, got the human side to you. And people do business with people that they perceive to like, and they want to get to know and eventually trust them, right? So this is your first touch with somebody. And most folks, they will, they'll write it in third person, especially in the summary. And I think that's wrong. I mean, doesn't it annoy you when somebody starts talking about themselves in third person?
It sounds like a Seinfeld episode, actually, when they do that.
Yes. I got a story about my teenager doing that. And he's, Mom, you're talking about yourself in third person. Had no idea he was doing it. So even a 16-year-old can be, or 15-year-old at the time, he can be annoyed, right? So,
yeah.
No, but it's, it's a place to really, you got to identify who your prospect is in here because we don't want to waste our time talking to people that, aren't going to pay us for our products or services, right?
Right. Yeah.
And what people don't realize is that most of the activity that you can accomplish in LinkedIn is done through your personal profile. Company pages are still very limited, although LinkedIn rolled out a new feature for the company page, which is really cool, native video. They're rolling it out as we speak. So, unlike we have that with our personal profiles, now company pages can do the same, but that still doesn't give a lot of functionality with a company page. And so, people are going in there, they're, putting up posts and they're writing articles and they're sending connection requests and they're messaging their connections, and that's all done with your personal profile. And more often than not, somebody's going to get curious of who you are because of something that you posted or a great article that you wrote or somebody recommended you, in LinkedIn, or you send them a connection request and they're going to go check out, make sure you're a real deal before they accept.
Yeah.
And so if that profile isn't done very well, you've lost probably a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Or potentially.
Yeah, I can tell you I can amen that because people will reach out to me and say, hey, I think I have a great story. I'd love to be on your show. Or, my client has a great story. They should be on your show. And like I said, the first thing I do is just go right to LinkedIn just to get a sense of who they are, before I even go to their website. And yeah. I can't tell you how many people I've looked at their profile and I don't bother going to their website because I decide, no, you're not a good fit for me. And I've had people tell me, oh, well, that profile's way out of date. Well, then you better update it because that's where I went. I mean,
right.
But why am I wrong? Because I went there to look at it and no, you have to update it. It's your job to update. It's one of your spots on the web, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to portray about, I'm a big Dan Kennedy fan. And so Dan Kennedy, teaches us that you need to define, more than just the features and benefits. You need to define what the outcome is going to be and ultimately what that transformation is with somebody who's going to work with you. And if you can do that well in LinkedIn, man, you're way far ahead of your competition.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to make this all about the profile because we do want to get into the publishing platform, but it should go without saying, and it should be accurate.
It should be accurate and up to date. You know what? I still have stuff. I got a list of things that I got to go back in and fix links and do stuff like that. And every few months, I'm going in and I'm updating my profile.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I will share this and give you guys the big skinny on this. LinkedIn just updated their user interface a year ago. Guess who's doing it again?
Yeah.
And the personal profiles. I know. I just found out. I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah. But you know what? And I think that part of it is that's technology. That's the way it goes, right? So that speaks to another reason why we need to stay connected to it so that we're constantly making sure our links are working, that everything fits in the overall dynamic of whatever is the new layout, right? So yeah, it's just, you've got to stay on top of that.
You do. And that's hard for a lot of people because they're working in their business,
it can be.
Yeah. And then one day they're finally used to one way of doing things, and then social media goes up and changes it all. And then you're scrambling going, oh my God.
Right.
Now what? So, yeah.
So let's go ahead then and dive into talking about the publisher, because that really is, obviously, that's the essence of your book. And that I think is something that does make LinkedIn pretty unusual in comparison to a lot of the other platforms. So let's talk about that. What exactly is the publishing platform?
Well, LinkedIn likes to confuse everybody. And so there's two types of publishing. There is the short form, which is what your news feed is. Okay. And then there's the long form, which are your articles. Okay. And so we're discussing, the book is actually about the long form, although I do have a bonus chapter, which partially is out of date because LinkedIn updated their algorithm again. Yay. But no, so we're talking about the long form articles that live within your profile. So if somebody actually goes to your profile and you've written an article, they're going to see your activity and any articles that you've written. Right there. So. Okay.
And why do you think it's the best thing for people to start creating content and getting it up on those long form posts?
We all heard this before, content is king, and it's still king, whether it's in short form or long form, it's still king.
Yeah.
That's why people are out there, they're searching for things. LinkedIn is no different. They're a big search engine. They're searching for things that can help them better, not only their personal lives, but their business lives. And LinkedIn's a fantastic way to do that. And articles are even better because you can start writing, storytell about maybe your story or a client's story, or someone else's story that you can relate to and plug it into what you're doing with your business.
Right.
And it's showing that, you know the pain point of your potential prospect. Okay. You are defining that and you're drawing them in with this story, and then you're showing that, the pain points can be overcome with the solutions that you have.
Right. Yeah, you talk in your book about positioning, and I think for me, that really is the essence of positioning. You are trying to position yourself as a trusted advisor, as a knowledgeable expert. Well, how else are you going to do that? But you got to demonstrate in some way the knowledge that you have, right? So to me, that's the simplest thing to do, is to write a nice meaty article that really does position you as a thoughtful, intelligent solution provider and shares your point of view. So, yeah.
Your profile has so many characters. You're limited in each section.
Right.
And I mentioned this in the book. You're going to have the same thing with your articles, or you can do in your profiles. You're going to have the linear readers, and then you're going to have the skimmers.
Right.
And then, and you will have that with your articles too. But if you have more places for somebody to go and see what kind of activity, what you're writing, that's even more opportunity for them to hit that message button and send you a message, either to connect with you or want to get to know you better or get on the phone or at in-person meeting, whatever the case may be in business that you're in.
Right. Yeah. And I think another plus about those long form articles is that the ability that you have to enhance them with bolding, headings, subheadings, and even images. And I think you made a really great point that I want to emphasize, and that's the fact that LinkedIn, just like Facebook and these other sites, it's its own search engine.
Correct.
So yes. If people are looking for an expert, well, why don't I go where experts live?
On LinkedIn?
Right, and go to LinkedIn, right, where experts live. Makes it, at least that makes sense to me, rather than trying to read through Google.
If you can show somebody that you are the solution to their problem,
right.
You know, you can't do that on any other platform. You might be able to have a link that goes back to maybe your website, that's the blog on your website, you know, but then again, you're taking them off of that platform and somewhere else. Right. And you don't have an opportunity. A lot of people aren't going to comment on your blog. They can't like your blog. You know, if you're really into analytics, you can figure out, you know, some analytics on, you know, certain pages that you have within your website. But LinkedIn is going to show you who's liked it, who's commented on it, right. You know, and who shared it. And that gives you every opportunity to go out and even touch with those people and say, hey, what did you like about this article? Or how did you find me? You know, or, you know, that is a great place to start a conversation. You can't do that on any other platform in that fashion anyway.
Yeah. And you know, I'll share another little way that I use LinkedIn. So, and this should be an incentive then for us all to engage with the stuff that we're reading and consuming there. So I have, you know, I do interviews every week, obviously, for the show. And my interview next week is with a woman who I connected with on LinkedIn. Somebody had written, I don't know, I think they had shared a post, something, you know, they'd shared something and then commented on this article. And it started a thread. People were then reading and commenting and they were chatting back and forth. And so my next interview next week is with somebody who made a really great point about the content of the article. It was something about networking. And I said to her, hey, do you want to come on my show and talk about it? And she was just a commenter. So that's, I mean, everything I think you do on LinkedIn especially is positioning you as a smarty.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't take hours and hours every day to do that. Get on your phone and spend 5 or 10 minutes.
Right.
You know, that's all it really takes.
Yeah. It's not a whole lot of effort for a potentially big bang. So let's talk a little bit more about the type of stuff that you should be sharing, the kinds of articles that you should be sharing. One of the things that is great debate is the length of the article, right? And you talk about the short post, which is the stuff that's in the news feed, the stuff you share, the stuff you comment on. And then the publisher platform that we're talking about is really the long form kind of article. So what qualifies as a good solid article? What do you think should be like a word count we should aim for?
Well, again, with anything that you do in marketing, you have to test your audience.
Right. Great point.
But there has been some studies out there that articles that have at least 800 words up to 3,000 words perform better than shorter ones. I mean, really, how much can you say in 300 or 500 words?
Right. Not a whole lot in my opinion.
I mean, even LinkedIn, the news feed has 1,300 characters. That's about 300 words, you know, if you're using spaces and stuff. So, I mean, you can't, it's hard to write a story in 300 words and get your point across, right?
Yeah.
So I found that articles that range anywhere between about, 1,000 to 3,000 perform best for me.
Okay.
Actually, one of my longest articles, about 3,300 words, And I let everybody know, hey man, this is a really long article, just sharing. If you want the short version, here it is. But people went and read it because I was fully transparent. Hey man, this is a long read, just letting you know. But I made some good points in there, and then, I've had articles that have bombed, and so not every article I've ever written is a home run.
Yeah. It does take testing. And also part of it too is just what else is going on, right?
Well,
that other people are reading.
There's timing. What day of the week are you posting?
Right.
What time are you posting?
Right.
Are you promoting that article at all? Are you just, hitting publish and then thinking that the news feed, once you hit publish, is going to go, everybody's going to go and see your stuff and go to your article? It doesn't work like that. You just can't, set it and forget it. You got to let people know that it's here. You got to drive them to that article.
Yeah. And I think that can sometimes be a source of frustration because people do tend to believe, well, I wrote an article. Nobody's calling me.
That's right.
It must not work. So there is a level of effort then and resharing, right? Because maybe I didn't get it the first time, or I didn't post it. So when you write one of these long articles, should you then be is there some mechanism for you to reshare it, or do you just share it on
course.
Social platforms? Okay.
Of course. So LinkedIn, actually, all your articles that you've ever written will live on your profile.
Right.
But your short form posts in the news feed live about 30 days, unless you capture that, the link, to that actual post. But so people can go back, and go see your articles, but people are lazy. And so what you should do is every so often, like in LinkedIn, my article, you hit publish. That's not the first time I put it in the news feed. I'll go put it in the next day because, depending on your audience or your network, they may be in completely different time zones. People are on, LinkedIn at different times of the day, a little bit like Twitter, so you may not get a whole lot of engagement in just one news feed, update, but, I do it several times. I put it on Twitter. I alert LinkedIn editors that it's there. That doesn't mean it's going to get, featured in their daily rundown or anything like that. But I also message my connections, the ones that the article I feel is relevant most to. I can't send it to all my connections, but I'll spend several days out of the week and go target, a few hundred people and let them know. Plus I got an email list. I put it on Facebook in my groups. I put it in my Facebook page. I let people know that it's here.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it doesn't take hundreds and hundreds of people going and viewing it or engaging with it, commenting, like, or sharing it for you to actually make a great income out of it. Case in point, article that I just wrote about a little over a month ago. For me, as far as the views went and the engagement, did not perform the best. But it generated 9 consultations and 3 podcasts out of it.
Wow, that's awesome.
And those consults, I closed some business out of it.
That's great.
And it kept me busy. So, depending on what your price point of your products or services is, it might just take a handful of people to actually generate a nice 6-figure income for yourself.
Okay. Yeah. And I know you have a case study
I do.
About someone who does that without, in his definition, it's really a part-time type of effort that he's running, and he's
very part-time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the show notes, we'll make sure that we include information on how folks can get that case study from you as well. So let's talk a little bit about how you actually decide what content you should be sharing. I know I create a lot of content during any given month, right? I have at least 2 pieces of content a week, sometimes 3. I am a content producing machine. Should I be sharing all of that on LinkedIn? Should I pick and choose what I share out of what I create? Or does some goes in the news feed?
Are we talking about news feed, or are we talking about
article? That's what I was just thinking. So some of it, like my podcast, that I can just share in the news feed, right? Here's the latest episode. But then I have at least 1, if not 2 articles that I end up creating in any given week. And those might be, one is from I'd call it the after show that I do in the middle of the week. I do a video live on Facebook, and then I usually create an article from the content of that video, right? And then sometimes depending on the spirit moving me, I might have something else that I also write another article about, and that goes out to my newsletter, gets on my blog.
Right.
Should you just be repurposing stuff that goes on your blog onto your...
I will say this. So in the news feed, anytime that you add something, a post into there, it has, I already mentioned the life of 30 days on your profile, but it will circulate for a couple weeks.
Okay.
So that's great. But as far as publisher articles are concerned, I know some people that are writing once a week and it's working really well for them.
Okay.
Unfortunately for me, my audience doesn't want to see all this stuff hammered about, LinkedIn every single week. One piece of long content a month is good for them. And then the short bursts of stuff in the news feed, so they see my daily activity. That's great for them. Again, it's all about testing your audience. I think right now with what you're doing, you could actually, put some of those articles in LinkedIn, and then in your newsletter, drive them back to LinkedIn instead of to your blog. So even if you put them on your blog, repurpose them in LinkedIn and then test it, or write it in LinkedIn as an original, unique content and put it on your blog that drives them back to LinkedIn.
Okay.
See how I'm going with the repurposing of this too?
Yeah.
It's just something you have to test, and you got to go look at your posts and see how they're performing. Go look at your articles and see how they're performing. What time of day are you posting these?
Right.
What day of the week are you posting these? How many likes and comments? I mean, for some of those people who are super analytical, create a spreadsheet with all this stuff. Then you can kind of engage what kind of content's really resonating with your audience and create more of that.
Okay.
Which is going to increase engagement, which LinkedIn is going to now favor, because then they start opening up your content to more of your network. That's how their algorithm works.
Okay.
And so, and then of course, like, let's say you have an article that's still relevant today, but you wrote it a few months ago, go ahead and repurpose that. You don't always have to be the content producing machine. Winnie, you're just one of the few of us that is, most of us can't do that, So kudos to you.
But I think you made, that's a great point, is this issue of engagement, right? So engagement gets you more engagement because LinkedIn goes, oh, look, people are interested in that. Let's share it with more people.
Right.
So let's qualify what engagement on LinkedIn is, because LinkedIn has some similarities to Facebook in the news feed, right?
Right. So they kind of have a point system. So anybody that shares, that is your granddaddy of all, okay? You get like 3 points.
Okay.
Then anybody that comments is like 2 points. And anybody that likes it is 1 point. Okay. So the goal is to have the sharing going on. Obviously, when people share, their network is getting notified. Anytime anybody likes or comments too, their network is getting notified. But really the sharing kind of opens that up. And LinkedIn, depending on how that post is and how often and how much it's engaged within a shorter amount of time of hitting publish, whether it's short form or long form, the clock is ticking. Okay. And so depending on how much engagement you're getting, like shares or comments, is what's going to open up that algorithm and actually have a human, come in and even open that up further to the additional networks that you have. But for most people, that's very difficult to do because, unless you're a business,
right,
rally up, man, your employees. Do a memo, in the business. Okay, the CEO just posted an article on LinkedIn. Everybody needs to go and start engaging with it.
Okay.
And then what that's going to happen is now it's going to open up to the second and third degree networks and, bring in some potential more virality to it. Although a post doesn't need to go viral in order for you to get some great exposure, and generate some good leads with that. But it gives it an opportunity to do that. Right. For us smaller folks that are boutique firms or small consultancy firms or whatnot, we don't have, a tribe of people that can, help us do that.
Right.
So an option is to, get a bunch of your friends and colleagues together and create a tribe to do that. And that's what we call gaming the system. So, and that's kind of what, Facebook did with pages a few years ago, when they went from, I don't remember the percentage, down to like 2%. But if you started getting a lot of engagement, they opened it back up to more of the network again. Well, LinkedIn kind of followed suit. Just took them a while to get there.
Okay.
So
you had mentioned that LinkedIn really is its own little search engine. So as you're writing, should you be keeping the good SEO elements in mind? Should you be using keyword phrases and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I talk about in the book that, we shouldn't be so concerned about keywords writing an article.
Right.
However, do keep in mind that Google does pick up articles based off of keywords. And I had one of mine lived on the front page of Google for like 4 years.
Wow.
It's not there anymore because a lot of people talk about productivity, but even then, but what does that do? If people are looking for that, it drives them to the article, which drives them to your profile. Right? So you should still be keyword conscious, but I think it's more topic related than it is keyword related. Okay. However, when you do hit publish, LinkedIn does allow you and suggest that you put in some hashtags. So they did the hashtag bandwagon now, and people now can search on both on mobile and desktop hashtags for posts. And that includes articles and newsfeed posts as well.
And I was going to ask you about mobile and how much that should influence what we're doing. Are there things that we should keep in mind because people are viewing on a mobile device so often, or is it just write well and have some images and you'll be fine? Well,
the newest statistic, I think, is 57% of people access LinkedIn daily on mobile. Mm-hmm. And that's half of the membership. So with 550 million members currently, somewhere around there. So you got to keep in mind, that's why people are like, well, I don't want to write a really long article because it's really hard to read on mobile. Well, if you format it correctly in short paragraphs and break it up with bullet points, numbered lists, photos, videos, anything like that, it keeps the reader engaged.
Okay.
And then, of course, it both appeases not only the linear reader, but the skimmers, because the skimmers will go to the headings, to the fine points, and find out what it is that they really want to know about, and then the linear readers will read it from beginning to end.
Right.
So I wouldn't. I live on my laptop. So but I do access from my phone a lot, and I'll scroll mostly through the news feed. But every once in a while, I'll see an article, and it's not really. I mean, I'm one of the smaller phones. This is S8. It's not really that hard to read from there, as long as the content is not one big white paper.
Right.
If it's one big white paper, I'm done. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done on a laptop if it's one big white paper.
Yeah. No, you can't be one giant paragraph. I'm sorry. That's not going to work. So let's talk about a call to action. So
Always.
I know that, so many people I work with are, they hate the idea of selling. They don't want to come across as salesy. Yet you do have to invite people. You do have to tell them what would be the next step. So what is a great way to approach a call to action at the end of a long article?
I will say this. It sounds very elementary, but we do have to tell our prospect or the person reading it what you want them to do next. Mm-hmm. Okay, you got to encourage them to do that. I know you'd think it would be everybody would know this, but they don't know this.
Everybody's overworked. That's the way I look at it. Everybody's overworked and you can't think straight and you're exhausted. So tell them, yes.
Yeah. So, tell them to go and engage with your article.
Right.
Ask them to like and comment and share. I mean, if that's what your goal is, engagement, I do too. I ask them to like, comment, share with somebody who they think that might benefit from this. But I also drive them to some sort of way to get them off of LinkedIn. Okay. That's my goal. So either I want them to go to a master class, a webinar, get on my list for my book, or get this free guide, or hey, call me or schedule an appointment for a one-on-one consultation. getting them off of LinkedIn is fantastic. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the whole goal, right? You want to get them off of LinkedIn and into your sales pipeline, whatever that may be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's great to have these free tools. However, you hopefully have a home on the web, and that's where you want to drive people to
Right.
get them to opt in for some additional next step with you. Exactly as you're saying. What's your next step?
What's your next
and it's
step?
Whatever's right for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and believe it or not, a lot of people will just click the message and inbox message you. You know, they
Right.
don't want to go to my booking scheduling online. They're old fashioned.
Right.
You know, they want to actually banter back and forth and, you know, schedule a time, which to me drives me batty. But if I said no, go to my link, then I might lose an opportunity to get a new client, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I think we can judge people about, well, why would they do that? It's convenient. First of all, I'm right here. I'm just going to hit message. I'm going to, so.
Right. Absolutely. I actually prefer that because LinkedIn doesn't, unless you delete the message string, I can see what the last conversation was and when, which was nice.
Yeah. I love that. I love that feature too, because otherwise, I can't keep anything straight.
Well, if you're a power user, it's hard to keep track. You really have to get them off of LinkedIn, you know, and in your own messaging system. But you know what? I still keep those folks in LinkedIn anyway, because sometimes they're not on their email, you know, and so this way I can catch them either way, whether an email or through a message in LinkedIn.
Yeah, and technology being technology, even those scheduling systems do not always work. I've clicked on them and they haven't always worked for the other person. And as somebody who has I was in a car accident, I have accident-induced ADD, and if I don't see it, it's gone. So I have to actually write the appointment down for it to be in my little head and then look at it on a regular basis. So yeah.
Come on, Winnie. I don't have accident-induced AD&D, but I write it down on a paper, put it in my calendar, sync it with my phone, and I even still forget.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you just got to make it as simple as possible.
Right.
Tracy, I could go on for days about this. This is such great information, but of course we want people to check out your book and check out the other stuff that you've got for them. So I mentioned the case study, and we'll have links to that in the show notes.
But I don't have that up yet because we're fighting with the new little Kartra.
Oh, all right. Well, but they can at least email you, right? They can get in on your list. So why don't you tell folks what they should do to connect with you and learn more about what services you offer?
Absolutely. Go find me, Tracy Enos, in LinkedIn. I'm the only one with a photo, for one. First and only, well, I was the only Tracy on LinkedIn forever, but I was the first one. So they can go find me there. I'm in an Army jacket, so you know them at the right girl. And they also can go to publishingtoprofits.com, scroll down a little bit, click on the Amazon link, and you can go buy the paperback and or the Kindle version. And then, of course, if you send me a connection request, let me know that you found me through Winnie's podcast, and I'll be more than happy to send over some bonus material.
Oh, awesome. That's so great. Thank you so much, Tracy. That's very nice of you.
You're welcome.
Well, it's great chatting with you. And as I mentioned, we're going to have links to everything that Tracy just mentioned right in the show notes. So be sure and head over there so you can get everything and you can connect with her. And I definitely encourage you to get the book because I loved it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right. I hope you found that interesting and helpful. Tracy's always full of great information and fun to talk to. I thought it was a real education. If you liked this episode, please share it with your connections. Please leave a great review for it on the platform where you consumed it, and be sure to subscribe either on that platform like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play. You can even subscribe to the video version on my YouTube channel. When you subscribe at my website at winnieanderson.com/fans, you'll receive episodes emailed to you each week along with information, tips, and resources to help you come out of hiding, to position and pre-sell yourself as the trusted advisor you are so you can profit from your expertise. All right, so your cocktail exercise, otherwise known as a reflection exercise. No alcohol needs to be involved. Don't drink and drive, and don't overindulge. All right, so I want you to just think about Exactly what do you want to be known for? And is that clearly represented on LinkedIn? Of course, if you're not on LinkedIn, well, get over there and sign up for it. But you really want to think about what's the brand that you're trying to build? How are you positioning yourself? And again, is that clearly represented on LinkedIn? Right? So just noodle about that. And this is actually kind of a combo reflection and action step in one, but your action step then is, other than to go and buy Tracy's book and start applying her strategies, is to look at the content that you create in general and then ask yourself if it's content that represents you well and that you want to build your reputation around. And of course, your reputation, that's the nature of your brand. It's really the brand's foundation. So I want you to then start creating content and sharing it on LinkedIn while encouraging people to comment and share. Tracy's right. You need to encourage people to engage with your content because, we're all in a hurry. Now, as you get more confident, then you want to start encouraging people to connect with you to learn more. And be sure to follow Tracy on LinkedIn so you can watch how an expert like her does it. If you're an introvert, leveraging LinkedIn is a great way to position and pre-sell yourself as the trusted advisor you are. And if you're an introverted coach, consultant, or freelancer, and you want or are ready to get help on your journey of becoming or being a courageous entrepreneur, you'd like to get help to stay on track, to come out of hiding, get focused on completing your big projects, taking your business to the next level of success, then consider joining the Courageous Entrepreneur Club. The club is made of small groups of no more than 10 people who are solo professionals and entrepreneurs who receive coaching, accountability, and support from me and from each other as they move forward to achieve the goals that they otherwise would lose focus on. Group enrollment happens at specific times during the month, and if you want to learn more, go to winnieanderson.com/join the club. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Courageous Entrepreneur Show. Remember, you deserve all the success you dream of.